Whitlock, will this meeting help or hurt the Cavs?
Probably hurt. The only thing that's going to fix the Cavs is Paul George or Lou Williams or some big trade acquisition. But this will probably hurt because I think that my takeaway is, again, LeBron doesn't want to look in the mirror. Worst plus minus. He's got the worst plus minus, I think, on the team. They're better with him off the court than they are with him on the court. This team, I think Brian Windhorst pointed this out today on ESPN, they welcomed Derrick Rose back with open arms. He left the team with an injury and just walked away. And then when there was thoughts of him coming back, oh, great, welcome you back. This guy, Kevin Love, misses with an illness, and let's put him on the cross and crucify him. The hypocrisy here, I just don't think works. So I don't know if this team meeting was productive.
We have multiple tire fires in the NBA. The Wizards held a team meeting. It reportedly went poor. Kawhi Leonard is struggling with that organization. The Lakers and Luke Walton has been a simmering pot. Now we have this. The one thing I like about this, Kevin Love talked, answered the question. They've done this repeatedly in January before the trading deadline. These are a bunch of adult grown-ups. Like, to me, conflict resolution begins with the word conflict. They held a heated meeting Monday. Well, that heated meeting, if you read the stories on this, it was like everybody talked, and Kevin Love was asked pointed questions. I like it. Washington held a team meeting. Half the guys didn't get a say, and according to the Washington Post, it's worse today than it was before the meeting. I love what Kevin Love did there. You know, guys ask me questions. I try to be a good pro. Like, I feel like they're coming out of this thing.
Well, and what Love said was that everybody was a target. If that's to be believed, there were reports that everybody did kind of get called out. It'd be interesting to see if LeBron got called out as well. Mm-hmm. If that's the case and this was just one of 7 guys that they kind of questioned, that's one thing. I'm with you. I think they'll get through this eventually, but I don't look, Kevin Love has been with you for 3.5 years. I think it may depend on what players questioned him. If it's LeBron, D. Wade, leaders who are leaders of the team, guys who've played with you for a long time, if they're questioning your heart, that's different than if it's Iman Shumpert and Tristan Thompson or something like that. So it may depend on who's questioning him, but I don't think it's fair. I mean, it would have helped if he was there. I mean, you may have given up 168 points if Love was on the floor. Like, all the issues you have, and you picking on Kevin Love.
There you go.
So I don't know. Like I said, was it a balanced meeting or was it all about Kevin Love? I think that's the
You nailed it. I mean, Kevin Love is at fault. That's the problem, guys. I mean, seriously, this is a joke. Kevin Love should have pointed the finger right back at LeBron and said, hey, LeBron, I saw Damian Lillard went to his owner in Portland and said, what's the direction of the team? And Giannis was willing to save his coach, talk to the owner.
You really think Kevin Love was going to do that?
If I'm Kevin Love, I said, why are you pointing a finger at me? Isaiah Thomas hasn't played a lick of defense. LeBron, why don't you go ask the owner why we traded Kyrie Irving? LeBron, why don't you go talk to the owner and see what we can get in here? I didn't mess this team up. Kevin Love is not at fault in the least.
Let me tell you your better point, because I agree with you, but they should be asking LeBron, why don't you fix your relationship with Dan Gilbert
there you go.
So this team could be better? Let it go. The letter and all the people gassing you up that, oh, Dan Gilbert's the worst person in the world and you keeping it real by hating Dan Gilbert. Why not do what's best for winning?
But, Jason, how is LeBron's fixing his relationship with Dan Gilbert going to help what they are on the court?
Because I think if LeBron and Dan Gilbert were working together like they should be, they would make a trade. They would make a move and fix the roster. Because if they were working together, if LeBron could let it go, Dan Gilbert has proven. He had the highest paid roster in the NBA.
He did the luxury tax.
The luxury tax and the whole deal. Get on the same page with your ownership. Let that letter and your previous exit go. Do what's best for winning. We just saw Tom Brady's video, I'll give up my life to win. Put aside your petty differences, because I'll just say this. I know a lot of people close to Dan Gilbert. This whole narrative that somehow Dan Gilbert got a problem with black people, I got too many friends in Detroit that just say that just isn't true.
Can I defend Kevin Love, though? Kevin Love's become Chris Bosh. I believe Chris Bosh is one of the, You know,
he's going to be a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, one of the guiding lights in the league.
Everybody, you might be a Hall of Famer.
But I mean, Bosch, in terms of community support, human being, Bosch is gold standard. By the end with LeBron, we were like, you know, Bosch doesn't like his role.
They're scapegoats.
Well, it was
That's
16 points and 6 rebounds a game.
Both Kevin Love and Bosch had to change their games with LeBron.
Yes.
Same guy. And we're doing the same thing to Kevin Love, which we did to Bosch. Yeah. Well, I mean, he doesn't understand that you've got Kevin Love was an all-star averaging 26 a night. Bosch was an all-star.
LeBron told Kevin Love, go stand in the corner and shoot threes and get some rebounds for me. Kevin Love's like, I've done everything you guys have asked.
2 years ago, they were demanding to trade Kevin Love, and he had 15 rebounds in Game 7.
He defended Steph Curry.
I was going to say, that's what it sounds like. You've turned.
Close.
I've never liked that LeBron, guys. Nothing but trouble.
This reminds me, and I think Mark Jackson deserves another shot to be a head coach, but this reminds me of Golden State. There was a point where Mark Jackson took Golden State. Ownership realized, or in their opinion, came to the conclusion he couldn't take them any farther. They went to Steve Kerr, team blossomed. You look at Milwaukee, they got a bunch of young stars. Jason Kidd had some really unorthodox strategies and things. He had kind of lost the team and the fan base. They get the right coach in there. There's a lot of young talent. That's got to be a great coveted job.
I think Brad Stevens got him fired. I think people look at Boston and go, they lost 4 of their top 6 starters. Their second-best player in the first quarter. They're 5 games better than last year. They lost Jay Crowder and Avery Bradley, their 2 best defenders. They inherit Kyrie Irving, who plays less defense than you and me, and they're better defensively. I think Brad Stevens is doing what Nick Saban does, is the GMs start looking at Boston and go, how come they're better? They're better on defense, lost defensive players. They lost all their scorers. And I think Jason Kidd, you look at that roster and you're like, Chris Middleton, the Greek Freak. They had the Rookie of the Year, Eric Bledsoe. And you're like, Boston would win 20 more games than this.
Well, look, Brad Stevens obviously has done a great job. I don't think Kidd deserved to be fired. I mean, you mentioned their young talent. Giannis Antetokounmpo, Jabari Parker, and Chris Middleton, their 3 best players, have not been on the floor together in 2 years. All right, the last 2 years, those guys have not been on the floor together. They've been injured. Jabari Parker, who there were reports that they're not talking, Jabari Parker has to go out there and prove he can play for whoever's coaching the team. At this point, as injury-prone as he's been, but he still missed 30 games last year. You know, Chris Middleton only played 29 games, whatever the math is. So I think Kidd, look, he wasn't lighting the world on fire. I thought he did a good job in Brooklyn. You know, Cupgate notwithstanding. But otherwise, I thought he did a good job, and I thought it was premature.
The way I look at this, a mid-market team like Milwaukee has to bend over backwards for its stars. You're going to lose them, right? Now you got Giannis tight with Jason Kidd, and you run off Jason Kidd. This better work out. You talk about finding a Steve Kerr. If they don't, Giannis is going to be going to the front office here in a couple years, maybe sooner than that.
Steph Curry didn't want Mark Jackson fired.
Yeah.
And they got him locked up for the next 3 years.
Well, yes, but Jimmy Butler was also locked up in Chicago for several years. They start rebuilding. Kyrie Irving asked for his way out. I'm just saying, you got to cater to Giannis in Milwaukee. He could be.
Steph Curry didn't want Mark Jackson fired.
I totally agree. They got lucky.
It depends on who comes in.
That's the big question. Are you going to get Jeff Van Gundy? Are you going to get somebody out of the booth who's very well respected? Are you going to land somebody in Milwaukee?
I don't know. With all that young talent, I think there's a coach out there that thinks,
who?
Damn.
That's
David Fizdale.
Yeah.
He's a good coach.
There's some coaches out there. And again, we won't get into this today because I'm about to throw a curveball. But again, the black coaching situation in the NBA, at some point, we have to discuss.